go get them again.
Welcome back to the Robes Away channel. I'm your host, Mark, and today we are sampling. Today's little sample is on the brand of Tom Ford, one of my favorite brands of all time. You can see I got over 50 private blends, not including the signature line. One of my favorite brands of all time. It's not everybody's, but for me, it just toes the line of being unique versus wearable. It really does well for me. And this is its tuberose base set called Tubéreuse Nue. Now this one came with not too much fanfare in our fragrance community for a Tom Ford release that is quite unique. Usually every influencer is on it, like a bee on honey. White florals, as tuberose is, can really remove your demographic to sell to, mainly men. And I always feel like Tom Ford is a brand that is highly unisex as a brand. It doesn't really matter if people think they're men-based or women's-based. They really amalgamate, and a lot of their fragrances do feel like just Black Orchid is a great example of a feminine, branded fragrance that can go either way, like Sahara Noir, which was a female-based, like one of the best Tom Fords of all time, Sahara Noir. And really, I love that one, and I feel like it can go either way. So tuberose as a note, depending on what that floral can do, because it can do several things. It can be very much unisex. It definitely can, and it can be, it is a note that I feel can be very much Tom Ford-esque. But here, this floral in the samples in Tubéreuse Nue, I really felt that it really emphasized the white floral portion of this, and it's not like a cardinal flower, we'll say, of a tuberose. And so because of that, and of course the pricing, and I'm not saying it's not built well, and we're gonna get into that, I really feel like this one, especially with the brand of Tom Ford, discontinuation is always on someone's lips in regards to their releases. It's just, if they don't sell, they just go. They are continuously releasing several new fragrances a year and discontinuing just as much. It feels like they hit that gap of like, okay, we got too much in our line. We have to continue just as much as we release. So I see this one, and I see it at these Estee Lauders. Estee Lauder has these places that you can go and get their fragrances that are highly discontinued, or highly marked down, 40%, 50%, 60% off. This one is showing up more and more to these Estee Lauder events. But let's dissect it. See what I get from this little Lucky Scent sample. Again, that's a Lucky Scent sample, so I got like 2 wearings out of it. I don't get much out of it, but I am wearing it today. I got it on skin right now. So let's delve into it. Before I get into that, hey, if you haven't subscribed already, I really would appreciate you to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button if you are subscribed or not, much appreciated, just to get me in the talks of all these influencers. Let's see if we can get a real thought on fragrances. Now, Tubéreuse Nue. Now it was, let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on this one. Release date, noses, and the notes that I feel are big into this one. Release date was back in 2021, so it has a few years under it, but like I kind of said in the introduction, I feel like it's on its way out. I really feel that, and I'm actually surprised it has lasted this long, because they are very quick at discontinuing a set that really isn't working out for the brand. Noses behind this, we have a 2-headed monster that are both very much, not unique to the brand. They have been making fragrances for the brand for a few years now. The first one is Yann Vassier. Yann has done Lavender Palm, the Palm. Probably one of the worst Tom Ford private blends. Yann, I'm sorry, but I'm not. Oud Fleur, a discontinued fragrance. Also Plum Japonais, which is a huge community darling. Santal Blush, Vanille Fatale. The other nose that constructed this is Shyamala Maison Dieu. Shyamala made Bois Marocain, Oud Minéral, Soleil du Feu, which also utilizes tuberose. And this Soleil lineup really has, you know, these white florals, that coconut beachy kind of thing going on. So looking forward to giving your thoughts on that. And she has also done Velvet Orchid, among others. The big notes in this one, it is, I'm gonna really emphasize the white florals in here. Lily, there's jasmine in here, another white floral, and tuberose. They're very much, I don't want to say alike, but they have the same, how can I say this? The same kind of personality, these white florals. They really do emphasize, and I'm going in my Rolodex here, all three, and they kind of give out like green facets, white floral facets. They give out sweet facets as well, depending. They also can, depending, giving out spicy facets. So they all have their own little signatures. And that's one thing that I've been working on in the past like 3-4 years. And it's something that I put a lot of energy into, is trying to figure out these florals, because I wanted to do more feminine based fragrances. And you know, when I was in my early 20s, I did the exact same thing. In my early 20s, there was a lot of fragrances. Like once I was getting into this YouTube thing and getting into fragrances, I was starting to, you know, develop, of course, a nose. But at the same time, I was like, man, there's a lot of spices that I really, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about. And, you know, again, I'm in my early 20s, so don't shoot me like as far as cooking, culinary. I'm obviously much older now. I know, like, I've used some of these spices, but things like coriander, things like cardamom, saffron, those are things that, you know, again, I was 22, 23 when I first started my YouTube. I didn't know. So what did I do? I went to the store and I purchased these things, started smelling them. I purchased the essential oils of these things and kind of figure out, okay, so this note comes from here, from this country. It gives out this sort of facet, a little different from the other facets. So those were things to just develop my nose. And I did this with florals because I felt like my palette wasn't good enough as far as reviewing floral fragrances for women, which I haven't really delved into, but things like tuberose and lily and jasmine, and what does the real thing smell like? What are the differences? What do the essential oils, which, you know, from which country? Can it do like a different compound of jasmine from Givaudan versus another one from IFF? It really is something that I'm intrigued and love it. But anyway, very long story short, I'm starting, obviously I started getting my palette into florals to be a better reviewer, basically. So tuberose, lily, and I'm gonna put musk as the back end, sorta. You know, jasmine could be that third wheel. There's, what is there else? Benzoin is in here, tonka bean's in here. There's a lot of notes that I could have been that third wheel, but it very much is a white floral centric fragrance. That is your primary. So now let's drain my little sample. Again, it is my scent of the day, but I'm gonna finish off this Lucky Scent sample, and you know, don't waste any of the juice. I like to kind of do that with the Lucky Scent samples. And launching, she gone. So yeah, very, very white floral centric. Tubéreuse Nue starts us off with a big punching white floral. Lily, jasmine, and tuberose, they're all there. I was half expecting a big, bold, you know, white floral thing, so not really a surprise here. The white floral idea here is a mashup of all three of these florals, in my opinion. Some more than others, but mostly tuberose is going to be your central. But some noses can defer to jasmine, they can defer to the lily. You wouldn't be ultimately wrong. I mean, it really is a lot of the white florals coming through. So off the bat, so what does this mashup of white florals smell to me? So there's a weightlessness to it, but there's also a density to it. But it's fluffy, lactonic, creamy, opulent, waxy, inholic, floral, sweet, powdery. It smells basically what the bottle looks like. Basically, that's a pretty good way of very soft spoken, but it still has a density like a white floral would. Now, tackling the tuberose, which is going to be your central from top to bottom, and it's more of a pure, clean kind, less of the carnal flower. So don't expect much bite out of this tuberose. It's missing its spicy facets. It's missing its green facets. The spicy facets actually kind of get replaced, and they're very light though, but they have Szechuan pepper in here. And Szechuan pepper does have quite a kick, but not in here. It's by far the lightest peppery stroke that I experienced in a fragrance when it's talking about pepper. So honestly, it's a non-factor to me. So just letting you know about that. Spicy kick's not there. And it's funny because all of these florals can have spicy kicks. Some can have a clove-like appeal, peppery kick, and things like that. And I'm not getting any of that in here. Now, lilies can smell like jasmine and tuberose. So they're sister florals. It can give off a sweetness. It can give off a waxiness, which I actually really sense the waxiness in here. And I will say that the lily does that in this fragrance. There's tons of sweetness in here, but it can come from the florals. It can come from numerous places actually, but there's quite a bit of sweetness, and I'm gonna get into that. But yeah, lilies have a slight vanillic tone, almost white chocolate-like. And that's like almost like an undertone of the fragrance. So it, not that it does that here, but they have a cacao note listed in the note breakdown of this release. And I saw that and I was like, oh, maybe that'll be interesting, like a gourmandish, but maybe that's what they were trying to portray here. Because there's no cacao, like I'm not smelling anything gourmandish in here, but it can give off, lily can give off like a white chocolate kind of accord. And lilies can have spice also, like clove-like to my nose, but again, not here. It really emphasizes different, just a very naked, and I know that nu obviously means, Tubéreuse Nue means a naked tuberose. Actually, great name. Great name, because the florals in here are stripped apart. It feels like to me personally, the more interesting parts have been removed to make it more like, it would have made it more masculine. And I'm not saying gender, like I'm not a gender kind of guy in regards to your fragrances, but it feels like if these spices and these green facets came into play, I think it would have made it a little more unisex. Now moving on to the jasmine. The jasmine, again, jasmine has lily and tuberose-like facets. It does have a spicy facet depending. There are also green facets and a musky facet. There's some muskiness in here. Powdery aspects, you do get some of that in here. And it can also smell like honeyed sweetness. So if you do smell a honeyed sweetness, it is from the jasmine. There is a good amount of jasmine in here as well. But again, they're all intertwined so well. And you can say that that's because of the noses utilized. And it wouldn't be wrong. Really, they bold together well and go through the fragrance together. They're not very separated. So this trifecta, which is extremely tied together in this sense, can be very hard to discern which floral does what. And as a fragrance reviewer, you know, there's two sides of the coin, and I feel like I'm on one side of the coin that, you know, if it's blended well like this, it doesn't really matter what it does or who does what. I prefer it that way. I kind of like that this is almost like a big ball of white florals together, but it does give you everything I told you at the start. You know, it's missing much of the green facets that some of these florals can give, and many of the spicy facets as well. So very stripped down, and maybe that's what they meant by Tubéreuse Nue, naked tuberose, that they removed many of the different parts of these florals to give just the bouquet part of it. You know, if you don't know much about florals and you're just like, just want to smell like a flower, this, like a white flower, this could do it for you. Now I did sense, and there's something in here, and again, it's a little lucky scent sample, so obviously my wearings are very limited, so when I'm trying to dissect something and there's a lot of moving parts, and if it's very minimal, it's kind of hard to really review a fragrance like I really want to. So I did sense a little bit of a tropical feel here, and white florals can bring you there at times, so keep that in mind, but I really couldn't discern, you know, what it really was. There's quite a bit of sweetness in this one though, but it's not candied, and it's well executed, especially when you're smelling it close to the skin. When I'm smelling it like this, there is some sweetness there, but it's not like, oh, it smells like pixie sticks or it smells like cotton candy. However, in the air, like it doesn't overwhelm, but in the air it has a good amount of sweetness. And these florals all can show that facet, but there's also benzoin in here, and there's also tonka in this, which are very vanillic heavy notes. So you are going to get some sweetness, even though maybe your mind is really focusing on the white florals and those facets. And you may be missing the sweetness. That's how actually kind of good they're blended in. It's not an obnoxious sweetness, to me at least. It's very classy as far as the sweetness goes. But you know, from afar, and when I was wearing this, of course I'm walking around and I am getting people's feedback, and those are the things that, you know, florals and sweetness were the main culprits when it was engulfing the room. So this intro is very white floral centric. It's very white floral heavy and has an elegant white feel to it, just like the bottle, kind of almost like a creamy white look to it. And maybe with like a little bit of a pink hue to it, like kind of imaging like a little bit of that sweetness, I guess. That's where I'm going with the colors. I'm not going green with a lot of these, it would, but there's no other real colors in this. Very white floral heavy. Now in the dry down, the scent really runs linear. It moves a bit, but the central white floral introduction stays put as your central theme. It is going to attack your nose the most. It is going to be it's going to be there from start to finish. It's going to thin out a little bit because other notes are starting to run behind it. There's some musky tones running behind this that come into play. The scent starts losing some of its heady white floral pieces and starts thinning out, and the vanillic portion starts mellowing more, amping up, warming up the scent. And that could come from the tonka or the benzoin, either way. The benzoin itself is pretty dense. It's not huge. You know, I've had benzoin based scents like really, you know, winter heavy, right? Like heavy. This has a little bit of it. It gives the scent some density, and it gives its familiar ambery glow. So when people say, hey, I kind of smell a lot of amber in here, that's the benzoin, of course, that tonka vanillic benzoin kind of thing going on. Now they don't list Akigali wood in here, a Givaudan compound, which is a patchouli based compound, but this portion of this back end has it. I don't care if they don't list it or not. Well, at least they don't list it on Fragrantica or Perfume or Base Notes or all that. But it really isn't as dense as it's not too patchouli forward here, but it's mostly giving out woody facets, which are very light in here, but they're there. In the note breakdown, I did notice that they have oud as the wood. And again, like you're looking at this note breakdown here. And for me, like when I was on Fragrantica, and again, Fragrantica is never gospel in the note breakdowns, just if you know, you know. But you know, you got cacao in here, you got some Szechuan pepper, you have some oud. So there is some facets in here that for me personally, like the white florals, yeah, white florals are white florals, but those are the notes I was like gravitating. I was like, oh, okay, those are the ones that I want to gravitate towards. And honestly, pepper let down, and a lot of these notes, like the oud, let down. Not oudy to me. There is woods in here from the Akigali wood, but it's just, I feel like it was just marketing because it was just giving out a woody facet. The biggest change in this dry down has to be the suede, and the suede in here is suede. It's not leather. It's not leather. There's no smoke, There's no rough and tumble leather here. It's smooth. It's not big. It's not bold. It is suede-like. It's not central. And again, it is the biggest change. So it goes hand in hand with the white florals to end the scent with some muskiness and some ambery tones and some woody facets. But so there is some extra personality in this back end. And I'm trying to see if I'm getting some of that now, but it's still in the introductory kind of phase here. So overall, Tubéreuse Nue reminds me of the Tom Fords that don't have much pop to them or too much personality to them. And that's kind of weird to say because this is a pretty bold scent. Like out the gate, it does not, doesn't transition you into this tuberose. It's there. But it will only, and what do I mean by that? It's only going to speak to a certain few noses that will pay for this price for this fragrance. Personally for me, it's never going to make a top 5 Tom Ford. But I kind of put in this wheelhouse of a Tom Ford that doesn't have much personality, like F and Fabulous. Reminds me of that. I would gladly wear F and Fabulous more than this. It's more my genre, like my taste personally. Lavender Extreme's in that kind of category too, like kind of linear, well made, kind of missing some of the rough patches of the note. And Lavender, same thing. The Lavender Extreme was very clean, straightforward, no rough edges, and it's a beautiful scent. But at the same time, it really is the ones that kind of get lost in this whole Tom Ford Rolodex. So like the other 2 scents I just listed, they do have a classy scent profile. Even though F and Fabulous doesn't have a classy name, it is a classy scent. And I can smell this classiness in this release, even though some people online say that this is not a well-composed scent. They may be Tom Ford haters, but they're also able to give out their opinion. I disagree with that. It is a classy scent. However, I feel like I would smell this mostly on a woman. White dress. She's into luxury items. She uses high-end cosmetics, and this thing is right beside those cosmetics. It smells like clean skin and floral. Like really pretty. That's where this one's going. Tubéreuse Nue. So let's get into seasons, day, night, versatility, and performance. Seasons. Tweener. I feel like this type of fragrance, and what do I mean by tweener? Maybe you're new to my channel, but the tweener months are always spring and fall. Right in the middle, because weather fluctuates and some fragrances do well in that. Obviously, spring forward, I feel like florals, it just goes hand in hand with spring for some reason. Like my brain just goes straight to that. But fall too, like the start of fall. And again, fall in Canada is probably different than in your country, but for me, fall hits hard. You get a couple weeks in there that you're starting to get a little more wind. The leaves are starting to change, and this fragrance I think would work really well in the fall, spring. So those tweener months, I'm not saying you can't wear in other months, but spring and fall, the tweener seasons, day or night, I feel like it's more of a daytime scent. But if you're going to a classy show or something, again, like that white dress can be worn at night, especially for I could see this at like springtime night, and you're going to a fundraiser and you have to, wear tuxes and really high-end stuff. This fragrance fits right in of this classy, high-end luxury kind of stuff. Versatility, I would say above average, depending on the right person. Yeah, I could see this, you could wear this casually. Also high-end, like once you can wear a scent at high-end events, it really is something that you can wear in a lot of different ways. I could see this being somebody's signature scent, even though it would be an expensive one. Yeah, versatility is above average on this one. Now, performance. The performance wasn't that great on me. 6 to 8 hours, which is still good, right? It's not a 2 to 3 hour fragrance. So 6 to 8, above average projection. And again, a couple wearings. So again, sampling samples, especially the Lucky Scent ones, take it with a grain of salt. A couple wearings does not it's not the best type of review personally, but it is a review of some sort. Any content is good content in my opinion. And it kind of gives me a really good stepping stone on how I feel about the fragrance. Is it going to be purchase worthy? Things like that for me. So my final thoughts on this one is, in regards, if a man can pull this off, yeah, why not? Yeah, 100%. But personally for me, now you're asking me, and I have a wide palette. Like, I mean, I'm not scared of fruity scents, floral scents, fruity florals, if they're well made. This one, and I love Tom Ford. And again, like, you know, people make fun of me because I bash, you know, brands like PDM and stuff. Well, they haven't showed me anything. Tom Ford has shown me. It's one of my favorite brands, but I'm not scared to go and kick my favorite brand a little bit here. And this is a hard sell personally for me. For the price you're asking, she's a hard sell. Now, as a fragrance head, I do see this as not a true blue, all facets in tuberose, you know. And I always talk about this in fragrance reviews, like when a note gives me a 3D effect. I just talked about Mojave Ghost and the ambrette seed in that one. And it showed me different facets of ambrette. A lot of fragrances utilize one facet of ambrette. The easiest, the best use of it is to replace iris. So it does give out those facets, but also has, ambrette has fruity facets that Mojave Ghost actually pulled out of it. Big fan of 3D notes like that. As far as tuberose goes, there's much more to discover in that floral genre that is presented here. It does give, at least to me, a classy effect, which some people will kind of disagree with me, which is fine, but keep that in mind. But I can see this in, you know, a travel case of a woman that is well put together, that has class, that has money, loves high-end items, just wants to smell floral. It's gonna go right beside their Chanel's and all that. White dress and all. This is going to a classy event. I feel like that's perfection. Like that imagery, that thought process is just perfection to me. So in that case, it is a very good scent. But as a fragrance reviewer, I gotta look at it as price tag. How is it gonna apply to a lot of different people, different things? What are the notes? All that, like what does everything do? So if I have to give it a score, because I always give sampling samples a score, doesn't mean it's stamped into eternity, but you know, you may never hear me again talk about this fragrance. So I like to kind of give out a score out of 10. I'm gonna give this one a lower score for Tom Ford. It's not gonna hit the 8, 9, 10 club. I'm gonna give this one 6 bottles out of 10. And I think you can find something like this for cheaper, maybe not identical to it, but I think you can. It never resonated with me, but I see some magic here, but just not enough for it to crack the 8, 9, 10 club on my channel. Even couldn't hit the 7. At the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if this one got axed in the very near future. I would suggest if you had sampled it or are sampling it and you love it, get another bottle, get your first bottle, as they are being pushed by Estee Lauder, which owns the Tom Ford Cosmetics, at these cosmetic sales. And they're giving out high discounts. And that's probably the best place to buy this fragrance for people that want to resell it online. We've seen that to people that do like this scent. Keep that in mind. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go online and go try to find these Estee Lauder. They're all over the place. I may get this one on the low for a nice cream colored bottle in my Tom Ford collection. It's not gonna be in my rotation. I already know this, but it could get a rare wearing here and there out of me. So it would be one that I'm not gonna jump on it. I do have other Tom Fords that I really wanna delve into, that I do wanna test out, either purchase a bottle, blind buy. The list is still huge. Even though I own quite a bit of them, there is some that I really want to get, and my money cannot be allocated to a scent like this that doesn't resonate that much to me. But it gets a score higher than 5 because there's some quality there, which I said in the fragrance review. So now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below. Good, bad, ugly, you agree, you disagree with me, you get different notes, different ideas out of this release. I absolutely love when you all share that. And even to the women out there, the two women that are subscribed to me, both of you, please comment below and let us know of maybe fragrances that maybe tuberose heavy or white floral heavy that could be cheaper than this or alternative to this. My experience with it is very limited. With jasmine, there's a lot of in the men's fragrance, but in the men's fragrance game, there's not too many that are jasmine prominent, we'll say. I'm still very new to the whole floral thing, so I would love to see those in the comments below. All two of you, help us out. And as always, a great pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent, your tuberose based scent wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.